finding my identity outside of being Isaac Rochelle's wife or being a football player's wife. Love him, so I want to support him in like everything with football. Who am I? Am I just following around my husband and that's all I am?
No, I feel like sometimes I'm like, we obviously have the same name. I went to an event recently, checking in, told her my name, read it. She was like, oh, like sad you were, you're disappointed that it's me.
If you had to have an accent, which would it be and why? Oh, this is easy.
Yeah.
Sound like sexual or like seductive.
They've been trying to get us over there.
The country?
Uh-huh.
That's like such a subtle, like, yeah, the country has been like trying to get me over there.
Oh no, my friend. It's not the country.
I don't know, maybe like the tourism board is like,
they're in my DMs. What's been like the biggest thing being a new mom and going through those hormones?
Communicating with my husband, having the conversation with him. I was like, yeah, I'm just like so anxious. And he was like, what does that feel like? Oh, it's crazy that I am a mom. Oh my God, I could get emotional.
Oh. Welcome to the Squeeze.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Jump on in. Okay, so we start every episode off with this little jar, a little segment we call Citrus Got Real. There's questions in there if you want to pull one. And sorry, it's a little far.
I have long arms. Okay. If you had to have an accent, which would it be and why? Oh, this is easy. Australians. Like,
yeah,
I just feel like Australians sound like sexual or like seductive.
Okay. I have a lot of my close friends are Australian, so thinking of them sounding seductive sounds funny in my mind. But it's actually crazy how different they're all. Like, we have probably like 4 or 5 Australian like close friends, and they're all from like different areas of Australia. So like, one of them, like one of my like best girlfriends, she sounds like twangy, like their like version of like
a southern twang,
and they say that she has like a bogan accent because it's like gross.
Wait, interesting.
And then our friends are like from like proper like city Sydney, and they like sound more like,
I didn't know that there were different accents
it's just like the emphasis, I think it's just like thicker. Yeah, to be honest,
just how it's thick accent.
Yeah,
I've never been to Australia, but I really, really want to go.
I haven't been either. They've been trying to get us over there. I have a list in my phone.
The country?
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh, that's like such a subtle, like, yeah, the country has been like trying to get me over there.
Oh no, my friend, it's not the country.
I don't know, maybe like the tourism board is like
they're in my DMs. We really want you to come out, Tay.
With social media, like nothing surprises me anymore.
So
I'm
true.
Like, okay.
It's so true. No, my friends, not the country of Australia. Maybe they'll DM me now.
You're a big deal.
It's no big deal. No big deal. I think mine would be British.
British?
Yeah.
Really?
How do you feel about a French accent? Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I'm like, but I've also heard that like when you go, I've never been to Paris or like France or anything. So I've heard that people can sometimes be rude towards Americans.
Yeah.
Which like, granted, like we're not all the best. So it makes sense. But yeah, I don't know about a French accent.
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
But like if you have one, don't be offended.
Yeah, we still love you. It's fine. Okay, so are you from Michigan?
Yes, I am from Michigan.
Okay. Where in
like an hour outside Detroit. Growing up, I was like, yeah, I'm from Detroit. I'm not from Detroit. I'm from, it's like Rochester, Utica.
Okay.
I don't know how to describe it. I do like the typical, like the mitten thing. It's an hour, I want to say north of Detroit.
Okay.
My parents are going to listen to this and be like, that's not true. It's okay.
Not at all. That's so funny. So where you went to college?
Michigan State. Where'd you go?
I didn't go anywhere, but we're Go Blue all the way. Because Taylor's from Michigan. I had a feeling that's what you were going to say. But so I prepped myself and it was fine. It's a good thing that I stuck with us today.
You know what? It's funny. I feel like everybody that doesn't go to U of M, but they're U of M fans, I'm like, well, Walmart Wolverine.
Yeah. You can, Taylor will probably have a good response to that one. I'll let him listen to this episode. But no, he's from Michigan. He's from Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Really.
I used to drive through Grand Rapids all the time because my now husband went to Notre Dame. And so from Michigan State, I would always go through Grand Rapids and then go down to South Bend. Yeah.
How far is that?
Like 2.5 hours.
Oh, okay.
But South Bend is like 15 minutes off of the border of Michigan.
Okay.
So they didn't sell alcohol on Sundays, so we'd always like drive across the border.
That is so funny.
It's like so extra.
I love states like that. It's so it's like why? It's so random.
No, totally.
When did you guys meet?
We met sophomore year of college.
Okay.
So we were both 19 back in 2014.
Okay.
So very young. That
How
was 10 years ago.
How did you meet though?
Through
Friends?
my sister's boyfriend at the time,
Okay.
who played football at Notre Dame. And then I went down to visit because at that point he was like part of our family. They were dating for like 2.5 years at that point.
Yeah.
So I went down to visit. And while I was down there, I went to a party and then I met Isaac.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. And he was playing football, but obviously like
College
you just
football.
like never know. Like, you know.
No, you never know.
Yeah.
So that's why whenever I get hate about people being like, oh, you knew he was going to the NFL, I'm like, no, not really. Like when he got drafted to the NFL, he got drafted with a few other people like from Notre Dame. And like, he's the only person still in the NFL from his draft class.
Okay.
So I'm like, how was I supposed to know that?
Yeah.
But
yeah. I was going to ask like how is that? Because I feel like we're very similar but different in that aspect, because I feel like I get people saying that I married my husband for certain reasons that are not the case, and I'm sure that has like been the case for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, so he doesn't have a good personality? Like, tell me he's ugly without telling, like, okay, so you don't think he's attractive or like smart or funny? I'm like, okay, that's fine. Yeah. I hate when people just like put it all towards one trait. Like, oh, it must be their money. I'm like, or he's hot and he's like really nice.
Yeah, that I know. I want to ask you, do you feel like you ever like, because this is something that I really struggle with, not really, but it comes in waves, struggle with like your identity and like figuring out who you are. Me, like being a wife and like being Taylor's wife is like, you know, the thing I'm most proud of in life.
For sure.
But sometimes I'm like, what else am I? Like, what other titles am I? Like, do you ever struggle with that?
1,000,000%. I think especially right now, because my husband's a free agent, like I feel like I've been following him and like his dreams for so long, and like I love him, so I want to support him in like everything with football. I think for a second, I think it's our first move out of Los Angeles. He went to the Indianapolis Colts, and I was like, wait, who am I? Am I just following around my husband and that's all I am? All I am is his wife, which that's not a bad thing to just be his wife. But I think finding my identity outside of like being Isaac Rochelle's wife or being a football player's wife was a little hard in the beginning. And then I think I got the hang of it. And like, I was like, okay, I'm confident in this. And like, now he's able to support me in my dreams in this way. But now that I'm a mother, I'm like, wait, I have to do that again and like find my identity outside of just being like Scotty's mom. So it's always
how do you feel like you have been able to do that? If there is an answer there,
I think it's like falling back in love with like what you like to do. I think ever since becoming a mom, like I love my daughter so much. So I like doing everything that revolves around her, which is like making purees or like hanging out with her, buying her toys or like going shopping for her. So then I have to like reel myself back in and like, okay, if you have an hour to yourself, like let's go out and like do something for Allie. Like what does Allie like to do? Does she like to go shopping for herself? So I think that's been something I've been trying to figure out. I definitely don't have it down pat though.
Yeah. No, I feel like sometimes I'm like, this is the best. I love being a wife. Like that's like my number one thing. And then like I went to an event recently and we obviously have the same name. And so our name was on a paper, and I was like checking in. When I told her my name, she like found it and then read it and she was like, oh, and like looked at me and I was like, oh, well, that was a little like sad. You were, you're disappointed that it's me and not my husband. So like, there's things like that happen that I'm like, that kind of like set me back a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like that's gotta be hard because I mean, did you have a social platform before you got married?
No, I didn't do anything before we were dating. I mean, when we started dating, I like slowly had a following, but no, it's definitely been amplified over the past couple of years.
Yeah. How do you think you've been finding your identity outside?
I think in things like a lot of work, which is something that I probably need to like work on, is not just in work, but you know, having like the nonprofit and doing this, even though we do it together, like I still like find myself in it as an individual, which I think is cool. But someone recently was like, what hobbies do you have? What do you do for fun? And I was like, oh my gosh, I literally looked at Taylor and I was like, what the frick do I do for fun? Like, I don't know.
No, when it comes to people ask my hobbies, I'm like, I don't have no idea.
Yeah. Like, how do
and I feel like us moving around all the time, I also don't have like a huge friend group. So I'm like, when people are like, oh, like, what are your hobbies? Like, hang out with friends. Like, do you like to go to the beach? It's like, well, I don't want to go to the beach just like me, my husband, and my daughter. Well, obviously I do sometimes, but I think like a big group of friends sounds more enjoyable.
Oh, for sure.
So we're trying to get there.
Take me through your moving
Oh my God.
process.
Are you sure? Like, how long do we have on this podcast?
I'm strapped in.
Okay. So Isaac and I graduated from college and he got drafted to the Los Angeles Chargers.
Okay.
So he was there for 4 years. I ended up moving out there. I bounced around a few different cities. We eventually moved in together so that this starts us together. So then his first off season in 2020, he was up for a new contract. We moved to Arizona for 4 months to redo our Airbnb.
Okay.
And then he signed with the Indianapolis Colts. So we moved to Indiana, bought a house there. And then after his contract was up there, we sold that house and moved to an apartment in California. And then at the end of that off season, we bought a house that we're currently redoing right now. Moved from California to Cleveland. Lived there for 6 months. Lived in Vegas for 2 weeks. And then moved out of Cleveland, moved out of Vegas. Moved back to California, then moved back to Vegas for 6 or 7 months, moved to Texas, and then moved back to California.
And how long have you been here now?
4 months.
Okay.
So yeah, we're currently living in a rental house.
Okay.
And then we're waiting for our house to be done being renovated. And I'm not moving out of that house until I'm dead. Like, I will not move again.
Yeah. How do you feel settled? How do you feel? Because even like when I'm gone for little trips, but I'm always coming back here and it takes me a minute to be settled, but you like don't even have settled.
No, I feel like it's crazy because right now I'm like the least settled I've ever been because we're in California and he could get a call at any point to go to a team or not. So we could just be here or not be here. So I feel like right now I know that this house is temporary because we can either move into our finished house or we can move to a different place temporarily. Yeah. So I feel like right now I'm very not settled, but I think when I gave birth, I felt very settled because I was like, this is the house that we own. And like, I know that like her memories here and my memories with her being a newborn, like all of these are going to remain in this house. And like, we'll move back to this house. But like me being pregnant in Vegas, I'm like, I was never settled there.
Yeah.
And I mean, thank God I wasn't because we ended up moving 2 weeks before I gave birth. So yeah, I feel like that's why I'm like, when it comes to being at home, it's definitely like my husband, my daughter, like that feels home to me. Like wherever my dogs are, that's like home.
Yeah.
But ask me again when I move into my renovated house. If I don't feel settled there, then we have a huge issue that we have to figure out.
A big problem. Are you before this, like before like being with your husband and bouncing around everywhere, were you a planner?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm actually still not a planner.
Okay. I feel like that makes me feel like a little bit better about it because like I plan things like very, very badly. Like I
thought you were gonna say like you're a huge planner, so you're not a good planner.
No, I am a planner.
Okay,
and so having a schedule like that would like not be ever. So maybe do you feel like that's maybe like help? Sure.
Me not being a planner?
Yeah, or like
totally.
Were you go with the flow? Like kind of before
very go with the flow. Like every year in college, I moved departments every year. Like I'm very go with the flow. Like I changed my major like 5 times. I think me being chaotic is very beneficial to the lifestyle that we're currently in. It kind of sucks for every other part of life because I'm like procrastinator and like kind of chaotic still. But for this, I think it's really good. Like me moving 2 weeks before birth, I feel like people focus on their birth plan. Like they don't focus on moving before their birth. Yeah. So I think me being go with the flow has been good.
Yeah. Is your husband like that too?
No. No,
Okay.
he's planner. He wants to, like, every night before we go to sleep, he's like, okay, so what's your schedule for tomorrow? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going to figure it out.
See, Taylor does that to me, but it's like, I know what's coming tomorrow because I know it's coming in 3 months from now because I have it all color coordinated in my calendar.
Oh, no.
But we'll like go to bed. And now I finally have gotten him on the calendar because I'm like, I'm done telling you these things and I don't want to be responsible for when I forget to tell you these things. So you can click on the Google Cal app and it's there. But
My husband hates a Google Calendar, which makes things really hard because he wants to know the schedule. I'm like, it's literally right there.
right there. It's right there. No, we'll get in bed and I'm like, when I'm in bed, it's like I'm falling asleep. Like my head hits the pillow. I'm off and I'm going to bed. And Taylor's like, so what do we have tomorrow? Or like, I'm really excited about doing this or doing that. I'm like, honey, no, like we can't.
You're like, no, my eyes are closed.
Yeah. He's like, what do you think about this? I'm like, no. In the morning, I finally set that boundary and he knows now, but he'll start to ask. I'm like, don't do it. Look at your phone. Don't
Are
do
you the
it.
couple that watches TV in bed before you go to sleep or no?
No, we watch it on the couch because Taylor does not like watching things in bed.
Interesting.
And I would live in bed
Yeah.
if I could.
Before I had a baby, I would definitely like go up to my bedroom and like watch like an episode or two of Grey's Anatomy and just like, that's like my downtime.
No, I'll have like a couple days a month that are like my work from bed days because I work from home, but that's like my like relax, like stay in bed and work. But yeah, that's probably like one of our biggest marital fights is that Taylor doesn't like watching things in bed. I'm like, I won't fall asleep. See that maybe that's why is because I'll fall asleep.
Yeah. Well, you're like, my head hits the pillow and I'm going to sleep.
But that happens to me on the couch too. So it's kind of just like inevitable where it happens because
I'm very envious that you can just like lay down and go to sleep because I like lay there and I'm like, oh gosh, I think I forgot to do this. But you're also a planned out person. So according to your plan, you should go to sleep having nothing on your to-do list.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do wake up at like 3 a.m. and I'm like, oh, there's like 17 things I need to like write down so I don't forget that I have to do them. But no, that is a hidden talent that I have acquired over the years is I can thank my nursing career for that because I worked night shift and I was like, had to learn how to sleep.
Oh, yeah.
I needed to be like, sleep now. Brain needed to shut off because I was not sleeping. So that is like the one good thing that I acquired from that time in my life.
Man, maybe I need to be a nurse to figure that out.
There are just so many vitamins and supplements out there on the market that it's truly hard to find the ones that are good for you and are going to get the job done. And I truly feel like I've become like a very skeptical person when it comes to vitamins and supplements because there is so many on the market and you just don't know who's telling the truth and which one is actually, truly good for you. And my go-to essential vitamin for years has been Ritual's Essential for Women 18 and Older. This is a clinically backed multivitamin for women 18 and older with high quality and traceable key ingredients in clean bioavailable forms. There's 9 key nutrients in 2 delayed capsules per day that optimize your body's absorption. And it's gentle on the stomach. It has a minty essence in every bottle that helps make taking multis actually enjoyable. And I don't know if you're like me, I strongly dislike taking pills. So that minty little essence that it has in there is it's an added plus for me. And it actually helps me like want to take the pill because I know I'm not thinking about taking a pill. So no more shady business. Rituals Essential for Women 18 and Older is a multivitamin that you can actually trust. Get 25% off your first month at ritual.com/thesqueeze. Start Ritual or add Essential for Women 18 and Older to your subscription today. That's ritual.com/thesqueeze for 25% off. Okay, you guys, fall is officially starting to be here. I am so excited for pumpkin spice, the leaves to change, some cooler weather, but also I annually do this summer clean out where I just revamp my closet. You guys have probably seen me posting about it. We've been upping our style, getting some new clothes. And one of the things that I have recently gotten that I have loved is Vionics Walk Max sneaker. It comes in a his and a hers, which is great because that's a perfect gift to get for your boo thing. But truly, these shoes are perfect for all day wear. You can wear them walking the dog, running errands, going to whatever you do with your life. Finding that shoe that is truly perfect for all day wear, staying active and just on your everyday go. is something that I do not take for granted. And another thing that I don't take for granted is user-friendly online shopping experiences. When a website is easy to use, I'm like, yes, add to cart, I'll take 10. When it's not, I leave. I can't do it. But Vionic's website is truly just so user-friendly, to the point. You can order your sneakers quick and easy. And yeah, they got some good stuff going on. And not only is their website great, they got some great shoes. So you can use code SQUEEZE at checkout for 15% off your entire order at www.vionicshoes.com. When you log into your account, this is a one-time use only. Let's revamp that shoe game. You guys, you got to try these sneakers. Yeah. How has being a mom been?
Being a mom is it's crazy that I am a mom. Like, I don't know how that is. Like, I know I grew her and like she is my child, but I just don't feel like a mom.
Yeah.
But I love her so much, and I feel like she's getting to an age where it's just so much fun. Like, she's like crawling around and like pulling herself up, and oh my God, I could get emotional. But like sitting down and like doing my makeup, and she's like going through all my makeup is just like one of the best things.
Oh my gosh.
And like having a daughter is something I always dreamt of. Like, I feel like a lot of guys like want a boy. My husband and I just really wanted a girl. And so it's been like everything we dreamt of and more, but yeah, no sleep.
Yeah, I know. Taylor really wants a girl too. And I'm like, that's nice. I kind of want a boy, but I think I want a boy because I would be like too obsessed with a girl. Don't get me wrong. I would love my child no matter what. But
people always seem to like find a reason to hate. Like, if you want a certain gender, I'm like, okay, I'm over it.
yeah, no, I just feel like I would need to match every single, it would just be over the top.
I'm not a pink girl. I'm not like a polka dot or pattern girl, but like the second she popped out, it was like pink bows, like ruffle this, like polka dots, cheetah, like she makes me a huge girly girl, but I'm not a girly girl.
Yeah, I love that. How was your pregnancy?
I loved being pregnant.
Aww.
I loved it so much. The first trimester is like not easy for anybody. I was exhausted, and then my husband ended up moving, and like I had to do a few appointments alone. So like that kind of made me sad. I feel like the only thing about my pregnancy were my emotions. Like I cried so much, but I also feel like I was like in a weird life stage where we were moving to Vegas or moving to California or whatever.
Yeah.
But I loved being pregnant. I tell my husband all the time, like, if he didn't want more kids, I would probably be a surrogate, but we do want more kids.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be a surrogate.
I know. I like growing up, I'm an only child. So like I wanted to be a mom. I wanted to have 5 kids and like just have like this big family. And then I went to nursing school and I watched a birth. And I went home and I said, honey, I'm not having a child until I forget what that looks like from that angle. So we're going to be here for a minute.
I had a C-section. So honestly, like I've seen like the graphic scenes of a C-section, but I loved my C-section. I was listening to like my Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
It was Christmas music. Like, it was enjoyable.
I think that's what I have to do, especially being a planner. I need to like plan. One of my good friends, she has 2 kids and they were both C-sections, and she's like, I brought my lamp, I brought my Barefoot Dreams blanket. I like went in, had my little speaker playing, and
it's exactly that.
Yeah.
I think that like God knew like my life had been so chaotic. He was like, let me just give you one concrete thing. And that's like the birth of your child. But it's exactly that. Like the night before, we went out to like Mastro's and like had like a celebration dinner, and everyone's like, oh, like what are your weekend plans? I'm like, I'm having a baby tomorrow. And the morning of, like, I got ready, we're listening to music in the house was clean, it was so perfect. And then I had my hospital stay. Like, everything was great. So I highly recommend a C-section.
Yeah. And that was planned for you, or did you need to have one?
She was breech.
Okay.
So I knew she was breech from like 30 weeks on. So I tried doing everything possible to get her to like twist, but she was a 9-pound baby. So she wasn't moving. She was comfy. She was like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, I really want to try the like natural, quote unquote, whatever that means. I really want to try the other way, which I guess you can after one C-section, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Because if I like went through all of like labor and stuff only to get another C-section, I'd be like, oh, was that worth it?
Yeah.
Because I loved my C-section.
No, I'm curious to see where that leads you next, because it's such like I don't know. I feel like birth and all of the women's things is like everyone has so many opinions, but everyone is so different.
For
and
sure.
like every pregnancy is different. Every birth is so different. Like
Yeah.
I have friends that literally first child just popped out. Other
Like,
friends
nice.
like completely tore, needed C-section, just
Yeah.
like every possible thing. So
Pregnancy and labor are, well, there's a lot of opinions around it. And
Yeah.
two, there are so many different experiences. Like
Yeah.
no experience is the same as anybody else's. So when I tell people I love being pregnant, they're like, oh, like, are you bragging? Like, sorry. But I mean, watch, I'll be pregnant next time and like be throwing up and I'll call you and be like, never mind. Like scratch that.
Don't get
Take
pregnant.
the podcast down.
I changed my mind.
Right.
How was postpartum for you?
So postpartum has been a journey. I feel like there's been a lot of high highs and a lot of low lows. And I mean, it's the biggest hormone change anybody goes through in their life. So it makes sense. But I also feel like the fact that our identity has been so focused on football, and then my husband got like released from his job, and then I gave birth, and then we were moving, and like, I feel like once, because we moved to Texas for like 3 months and I hated it. But when we moved there, I feel like I got to a point where I was like, oh, fuck, I don't like that. Like, sorry if I can't swear on this.
You can't.
Okay. I was like, oh, I do not like this. And it made me so sad because I'm like, I don't want to ever associate any part of like me being sad with my daughter's birth. So I feel like I have to take them out of each other because I'm like, I'm not sad because I have a daughter. I'm not like sad that I'm a mom, but like me finding myself outside of being a mom. Like I'm totally fulfilled being a mom, but am I fulfilled in like what I want to do in my life outside of being a mom? I don't know if I have the answer to that.
Yeah.
And I just feel like there's so much pressure to like bounce back and be happy. And they're like, okay, well, she's only, I told my doctor, I was like, yeah, I'm like feeling really sad. And he was like, well, she's only this young once. So like get it together. I was like, okay.
What?
Yeah. So yeah, doctors are like great at gaslighting you. And you're like, you're supposed to know everything. But yeah, it's been a journey. I went on antidepressants for a while. I just got off of them and I'm like, I don't know if they actually worked because I feel the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Yeah. I know. I feel like it's so hit or miss with medication and like trying to find like the
one
sweet
that
spot,
works.
the dosage and the one that works and everything. But a lot of my friends that have had children and the whole like postpartum of it all, depending on, you know, there are some great doctors out there, but majority of the time you're handed like a pamphlet on postpartum and like, that's it. And then you're sent home and then you're left to your own devices of thinking that you're like literally going crazy.
Absolutely.
And like, I feel like I had the smallest glimpse into what that could look like. I ended up not on purpose, but I went off my birth control because I ran out and then it was didn't have a gynecologist. It was just this whole thing. But for like 2 weeks, I was so just upside down. Couldn't tell you left from right. Just was, once I figured out what was going on, it like made me feel a little bit better. But I thought I was like spiraling into like the deepest, darkest like depression ever. And like the fact that just me going off of like my birth control could do that, birthing a child and like going through 9 months of being pregnant, sometimes a very traumatic birthing experience, and then having to like raise a child and going through all those hormones, like the fact that there is not more like preparation and stuff done,
and I feel like help, I think, and honestly I feel like if I were to like point a finger at anything as to like why I felt the way I did, other than like my hormones and going through a huge life change. Yeah. I just feel like I had, which I'm not a planner, but I had an idea of what my birth would look like and what becoming a mom would look like. And I just pictured, okay, I moved to Vegas. Like we had our crib, everything set up and like a room. And then my husband loses his job and I'm like, okay, so now we have to move. And then I end up having a C-section. I'm like, okay, like that's fine. And then I got re-hospitalized 2 weeks postpartum. And I was forced to leave my baby overnight for the first time at 2 weeks. And then I was allergic to a medication. I got like a post-op infection. And so then I was forced to be on a medication that I wasn't able to breastfeed on. So I'm like, okay, now I can't breastfeed. And then my daughter stopped latching. I'm like, okay, great. So now I guess I'm just in a pump. And then we move and I'm like, okay, you know, I'm moving away from all my friends and like all of these changes. And I'm like, and I'm a mom. Like, this is so crazy. And like, I'm still trying to figure out like, what kind of mom I am and like what I like as a mom and like what kind of like, what do I want to follow? And
Yeah.
I feel like all those changes just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
And that's when I got to a point in Texas and I was like, we need to get the fuck out of Texas and move back to California. Cause I was like, I don't know if I'm going to survive here.
Yeah.
I mean, we were all away from all of our friends and family. I don't even know. I mean, I know why we moved to Texas because we were like, oh, like we don't have anything keeping us in California, but just like now I just associate home here.
Yeah.
Even though we don't have like a huge friend group, I'm like, this is just home.
Yeah.
So
oof.
a lot of changes.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And a lot of, I feel like my next birth will be totally different because I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should just schedule a C-section and just know everything is going to be like I mean, you can't plan it out that much, but hopefully it's better.
What's been like the biggest thing that you've done for yourself to kind of like keep your mental health in check, you know, being a new mom and going through those hormones?
One, communicating with my husband, I feel like is a huge thing. I remember having the conversation with him. I was like, yeah, I'm just like so anxious. And this was like a few years ago. And he was like, what does that feel like? And I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, yeah, I don't know what like being depressed feels like, which I love him for that. But it took him a while to figure out how to like handle my emotions.
Yeah.
Now he's in a great place where I'm like, hey, I'm feeling really anxious. He's like, okay, go upstairs and watch Grey's Anatomy. I got the baby. I'm like, okay, love that. So I feel like having a supportive partner and like not even supportive, but somebody you can communicate to and like they know a way to help. And two, I feel like taking time to myself, which I hate saying because like I love hanging out with my daughter so much, but I think space like for yourself is very healthy. So that could be like, honestly, like I love going to the grocery store and just like getting a fun drink, like something as simple as that will like change my day. Just like getting out into the sunshine and like taking a ride in the car, listening to a podcast in the car. I feel like it's like the small things that the independence I had before becoming a mom that I'm like, oh, I can still do this.
Yeah.
I just have to have somebody watch my daughter. And honestly, she's at the age where she doesn't cry in the car anymore. So I'm like, she could be in the back, like listening to the podcast too.
Yeah. No, that's so important. And I feel like you're like being a mom, it's still a relationship.
Yeah.
The relationship you have with your child, it's not the same, but it's, you know, you have a relationship with your husband. Like it's still a relationship. So making sure you're having that time to like be by yourself is like so important. I remember when I like first started learning that because Taylor and I truly just like spend every waking moment together. And I slowly learned like, oh, actually I do need to go to Target and like just take a lap when I'm like feeling a little anxious. And Taylor now knows whenever I want to go to Target, he's like, are you good? And I'm like, no, I actually just like need to get more. Actually, I need something. So that's why I'm going. But no, it's so cool that you have that in your husband because Taylor had a very similar thing. Like he had to learn when I was like going through my depression and whatnot, he had to learn that, you know, it wasn't his fault and like it wasn't anything that he did and he couldn't fix it. Like he always would just be like, do you still love me? Like, did I do something wrong? And I'm like, no, honey, it's not you. It's just like, you know, something that's going on in me that I don't really know like how to explain.
Well, it's crazy because there's not always something to blame or someone. Like you could just be anxious or overstimulated.
Yeah.
But I relate to that so hard because my husband and I both work from home and I'm like, I need to like be by myself.
Love you, but I'm going to go just like work in the other room.
Yeah. Like when he comes upstairs, I'm like, no. Like we don't need to do everything together.
It's so funny. Taylor's like, you don't want to hang out with, I'm like, no, I do. I love you so much, but like, just give me like 5 minutes to go outside.
Like, give me 5 minutes so I can even love you more.
Yeah. I'm going to miss you in those 5 minutes and be back and love you even more. That's so good. I don't know about you guys, but I live by pimple patches. They truly are a lifesaver and I'm not being dramatic. My favorite is Zit Sticka. They make the fast acting, most potent pimple patches on the market. And they actually just dropped a new collab with celebrity micro tattoo artist John Boy. And for a limited time, you can get Zit Sticka undercover hydrocolloid patches with micro tattoos hand drawn by John Boy. The 6 exclusive designs on 36 pimple patches allow wearers to express themselves with positive messages. The designs include angel wings, a heartbeat, and more. This is such a cute collab to do. I feel like Gen Z has just totally made pimple patches an accessory. which I love because, and I don't know why we didn't think of this before, but like I would rather see a pimple patch than like a zit on myself. So I'm all for this. And now with this collab with John Boy, they're the cutest little things. And I'm just so excited to get this pack and to wear them and to use them. And we love cute things that get the job done and truly work. And Zitsticka is offering listeners 15% off the custom John Boy undercover patches on Amazon or zitsticka.com with code JohnBoy2024. That's JONBOY 2024, and get them while supplies last. How have you kind of like set a boundary with social media? Because clearly you share a lot on it, which
Totally.
I am thankful for people like you that are just like share their lives and are like honest. And I always say that there's parts of being a celebrity that are hard, but I think there's parts of being like a content creator and an influencer that are even harder because you are truly just sharing deep parts of your life.
It's and you're like, wait, did I actually share that? I think it kind of happened on accident because initially I was just sharing like, oh, me being an NFL wife, like come with me. And then when my husband got cut from the Cleveland Browns, I was like, wait, okay, I actually have to update people because like I can't just show them all the rainbows and sunshine and then be like, never mind. Like, oh yeah. So I think that was the first video that was like very vulnerable was when he got released from the Cleveland Browns, just because we had an apartment there. And I was like, wait, where do we go from here? Like, is he on practice squad? What's going on?
Yeah.
So I think that was the first like introduction, and the feedback I got was so positive. And I think that's been like the reason I feel comfortable sharing on social media, because being an NFL wife is not very relatable, but like going through changes because your husband's job might be, and like becoming a mom, that's relatable. I think the boundary that I set is like with my, like I talk about postpartum, but like keeping her offline. I think that's been like my one thing that I'm like, she's private. Not only because she can't give consent to like me share her life, but also just because I feel like people have a lot to say about my journey. Like whatever I share, there's always people who are like in the background, like, oh, you blah, 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 blah. You can't feel that way. So I just want to make sure that I don't know. That's like my one thing that I won't do.
Yeah. Did you always feel that way, that you weren't going to share your kids?
No, actually, okay. I feel like when I first started on social media, I was like, oh, I can't wait to like have a baby and make her part of it. And then I feel like videos online just like showed me why that's not right. I think that you can do it tastefully for sure. And that's like, I'm not knocking on everybody that shares their kid online, but I think there's a very hard line where you're like, day in the life of Scotty. And it's like, okay, you're just like exploiting that. And even like changing her diaper or like things like that, that just makes me feel so icky. So yeah, it's been interesting, but my husband and I have always been on the same page with it. And initially postpartum, I was like, wait, I should just share, like, I just should like share it because she's so cute and like, I love her. And then now I'm happy I still haven't. I do wish that I could like briefly do it. Like, I just feel like we have like really cute memories I'd like to share, but I'm like, I don't really need to share them.
Yeah, I know. I always like wonder like what I'll want to do.
Yeah. I mean, maybe my opinion will change. Like I've thought about just sharing one video. I think now people are so like, what does her face look like? Oh my God, I saw her side profile. She has Isaac Snow. I'm like, that's weird. Like, it's like the obsession is weird.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sure like if people weren't so like, oh my God, I saw like a snippet of her face, be careful. I think if people weren't like that, maybe I would show her in the background. Like I mentioned that, like, I don't mind if people see her in the background, as long as you don't know where she's going to school, like what, like all the small details of her life, I feel good.
Yeah.
But then, you just can't win.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
no, it's very true. And I feel like having a platform like yours, I feel like whenever you're honest, it opens up a door for people to like just come in and like leave comments. We have friends that, share, are very like open about things in their life, and it just like opens a door for like people to be mean and weird, and it's like why
and I think that like me sharing postpartum, I think will help a lot of women, or at least like normalize women going through stuff postpartum. But like there's a ton of stuff I don't share online. And so when people are like, you're so open, I'm like, oh, I do a good job. I do a good job of showing that I'm open, but there are so many things that I don't talk about. Like, and I think that's a good thing is like, I know I have things that are private. People just don't know what they are.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's I feel the same way because people ask us that same question because, you know, having this podcast and sharing stuff that is,
they're like,
you know,
are you comfortable sharing all this? And you're like, I don't share that much.
Yeah. Like it's like 20% of what's actually going on, which is also cool that me sharing, you know, just parts of this is able to like, it's a reminder I don't need to like share everything.
Right. Because you're like, people think I'm vulnerable now. So we're good.
Yeah. We're set. We're good. You don't have to answer this, but I'm curious. You posted a video a little bit ago that was like, I'm like done this close to being done with social media. And because people, was there something that happened or were you just like,
no. So my husband, he is a free agent. He's been in the NFL for 7 years and he's had, I mean, an incredible career. The average NFL player's career is 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And so he's played football since he was like in 2nd grade. So it's been a huge part of his life. And right now he's obviously a free agent. The football season has started. So like with that comes conversations of like retirement. Like, do I want to retire? Do I want to hold out and like see if a team will pick me up? And it's so crazy because my husband's been sharing like where he's at right now. Like he's still training as if he could get a call at any point. And he loves football, so he doesn't want to give it up. But he's like, yeah, like I hate sharing this football journey right now because I feel like all of my career has succumbed to just me being on practice squad. And he's like, if you look at my career, I've had like 5 years that I haven't been on practice squad. And of course, like now social media is like, oh, like you're on practice squad, like you suck, blah, blah, blah. And it's not like he would retire just because of social media, but he's like, I mean, honestly, like if social media wasn't a thing, retirement wouldn't even be on the table. But he's like, I just hate all this negativity. Yeah. And whether you read the comments or not, like there's still negativity like surrounding it. So I feel like that's been something that's just like annoying. I know it's not our audience. Like I feel like we have a really good supportive community. It's just everybody else that feel like they can have an opinion on everything in your life, whether you're a mom, you're an NFL player, you're married to an NFL, like everybody seems to have an opinion. It's like, you don't have to share it.
Yeah. It gets me going when people say things, comment things like that to your husband. I'm like, you try to get on a practice squad. Like even like you try to get a minute like drafted, like truly it just is like, just because someone like isn't a Patrick Mahomes starting quarterback, does not mean they're not like talented and skilled and they've spent so much of their life training for this. And like the person that's literally typing it probably like just, I'm not going to be mean, so I'm not going to finish my sentence, but it's just, it frustrates me. It
is so frustrating. And I feel like if I was very raw, like if I was very open about that conversation, I would say like, you only need 3 games every year to get another year of pension. And that's like a big sum of money when you start getting your pension. So it's like, these people, I'm just like, you're not very smart. Like, tell me you know nothing about football without telling me. But yeah. Sometimes I just am like, I wish I didn't share this whole NFL journey just because, like, I wish I could share it, but like to a private audience. I know. But I know that's not really possible. Yeah. But there's positives that have came from it. And I'm grateful for them. So
yeah. How have you guys like set boundaries with what you share? And because you do so many like vloggy type videos, like how do you know when you're not going to do it or setting aside time to like be intentional?
I mean, I think my husband and I feel like we live like a pretty boring life in a good way. Like, when he's not on a team at least. So I think whenever we go to a city, like we just went to Detroit, or like if we're going on a business trip, I feel like it's pretty like open season. Like we're trying out new restaurants, doing food reviews, like doing very vlogs type stuff. And then when we're home. I think my husband definitely will like come to me and be like, hey, I think I'm going to film a workout video later. Like, are you good with that? And I'm like, yeah, not like he needs permission, but like, hey, you got the baby. Yeah. So I think that we have a very good dynamic when it comes to that. I feel like if I'm like, oh, I want to film this food review, and he's like, oh, you know, I was planning on doing that, but like you got it. Which I love. It's weird that we both do social media.
Yeah. That's That's sweet.
We have a
I
good
love it.
dynamic. It's been a learning process for sure, but
Yeah, I bet. Especially like when you're both doing it. Do you feel like that makes it harder or easier?
easier and harder. I'm like harder because you like now you're two people that you're like, wait, we have to set aside time for content for two people, but also live this normal life.
Yeah.
But easier because I'm like, hey, if he films this video, like I know doesn't have me in like the top left corner. Like he has me in the center of the frame.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
He knows the angles.
Yeah.
I'm always like the one that's like taking like the artsy photos of things, and Taylor's like, oh my gosh, that's so cute, send it to me. And then I send it to him and then
He posts it.
I'm like, bro, just like give me a photo credit or something.
Isaac does it all the time. I'll be taking photos of him and our daughter and he's like, that's so cute, send it to me. And I'm like, can you take a photo of me?
Yeah.
I'm like,
when can we swap
roles
here?
reverse?
It's so good, but that's why we love them. I guess they clearly are fans of
exactly
our work, so that's fine. Let's talk about your podcast.
Yeah,
Sunday Sports Club. What tell our little lemon drops what it's about.
So Sunday Sports Club podcast is honestly like a beginner sports podcast. It's not just about sports, it's also like people in and around sports. When my husband, the past few years while he's been playing, I always tend to like just want to be in the know. I'm like, oh, what team are we playing? I've just always been interested in sports. My dad grew up like watching football, my brother. So I've always been interested, but I'm like, these sports podcasts are so boring. And like, they're just giving me information I don't care about. Like, I don't care how many yards like this player got. So, and I feel like there's also another side of sports that are so interesting. Like, I want to know more about the players' lives, like their wives' lives, like nonprofits that they have, like very like interesting because nobody's journey, like just like pregnancy, nobody's journey in the sports world is the same.
Yeah.
And I think it makes sports more interesting. So that if you watch a player, you're like, oh, he's this nonprofit for like golden retrievers, like sick. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
So then my podcast has been born, Sunday Sports Club, and I'm so excited. I just launched season 2 and I have a whole team behind me that is helping me make everything work. But I'm like, last year I did a lot of like beginner into sports to like teach people about sports.
Yeah.
So now that we have that out of the way, I'm like, let's get some people on, like interviews. That's what I love doing, is interviewing people.
I love that. We'll leave a link like down below for people to go listen to it and check it out.
Fun.
I need to listen to it. I'm excited because I feel the same way. Like we had NFL Network on downstairs. Like we always have like sports going on. But I feel like it's fun to like learn more. Like learn.
Did you grow up watching football?
Yes, not to this extent.
Right.
Yeah, my dad. I as I said, I'm an only child, and my dad like kind of raised me like a son. I played every sport. He took me to all of the sporting events, and he raised me on sports. But yeah, I watched football. Then when Taylor and I started dating, he's like just like
he's a huge Lions fan.
Yeah, but NFL period.
Yeah.
Like he knows all the stats. He's in 27 fantasy leagues. Like he's just like it's his favorite thing, and so I really like got to learn it, and it's been something that's like really fun because I wake up before him, so I'll like hear the news about like someone getting drafted or someone like signing a contract, and I'll text him like, oh my gosh, did you see about so and so? And like it's a fun like thing for us to be able to do.
I think sports are like the perfect thing for like couples, for friends. I think it can bring so many people together. Like going to a football game with like a new group of friends, I feel like is so not intimidating.
Yeah.
And like anything around tailgating or watching a game, I just feel like it makes people have the not like you need an excuse, but like it gives people an excuse to hang out and like do something.
Yeah. No, it's very true. Or my husband will just like lock himself. We have a room that has like 4 TVs in it.
Oh god.
So he can like
have a different game on each TV. Oh my god.
And it's some people are like, do you just like it? Some days, depending on like my week, I'm like either right there with him, like glued, or I'm like going to get a facial and like running my errands on my Sunday.
You're like, okay, so he's occupied. Yes. He's not going to be like, babe, where are you at?
Yeah. Can we hang out? What are you doing?
Right?
Want to watch with me? But no, he's so cute. He's like the game that's on tonight. He's like, what is it? Bills Dolphins.
Yeah.
He's like so excited for this. We're going to do this.
I'm like so excited.
I know. It's fun. It's fun. I love it. Sweet. Okay. Well, I have a last little segment.
Perfect.
It's called Lemon 7. It's 7 questions. You can rapid fire, you can go into a monologue, whatever your heart feels when you hear the question.
Perfect.
You just take with it and run with your bad self. Okay, number 1 is what movie or song title best describes your mental health today?
Ooh, I don't know a ton of song titles.
Movie?
The only movie that's coming to mind is How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I'm like, I don't need to lose any guy.
How? It's because you are losing the negativity that is following, that is there.
That is following the football journey.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yes. Yep, that's exactly what it is. Number 2 is how open are you with people in your life when struggling?
My personal life? Mm-hmm. Oh, no. My husband, 10, like very, very open with him. Even if I'm feeling like a little bit down, I'm like, I'm feeling a little down today. Yeah. I think I need a coffee. But with any of my friends, probably 0, unfortunately. I think I'm just like very closed off. Mm-hmm. So yeah, which is not the best thing. So maybe I should change that. But husband 10.
Yeah, at least there's
one person.
The one person. It's true. Okay, if you could follow 3 social media accounts, what would they be? On like any platform. You can
3 social media accounts that I love. I feel like there are some good funny ones. I like funny social media accounts.
Yeah.
So honestly, I'm gonna give my husband a shout out. Husband PSA. He has a company. It's like to make husbands better. And their social media is always like on point. So husband PSA. Next is gonna be random. The Los Angeles Chargers Twitter is so funny.
Oh my gosh.
The girl that runs it, like the memes after they either win or lose a game are incredible. And the third one, I'm like, Chris Olsen.
Love that.
Yeah, he's funny. He's vulnerable right now.
Yeah.
But he makes a lot of funny content. So.
Yeah. Love him and the content. I love all of those answers. We really want to go to a Chargers game because Harbaugh's the coach now.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Taylor, we were at a concert not that long ago and him and his wife were there and our friend had like walked out. We were like in this one room and our friend had walked out and then saw him in the hall and like knows that Taylor like loves him. And then he was like, Taylor, I have someone for you, and like walked in with him. And Taylor literally like saw a ghost, like went in my jaw because I was with our friends and Taylor was talking with someone, and so I like watched the whole thing happen, and my jaw like hit the floor. I was like, oh my gosh, Harbaugh literally just walked in, and we went over and we were like talking to them, and he knows that Taylor's a Lions fan, and he was like, as long as the Chargers are your number 2, that's all I asked. That's all I asked.
You guys should definitely go. SoFi is a really cool stadium.
We've seen concerts there, but I don't think I've been to a game.
Oh my God. Honestly, it's crazy. The way that the light hits the football field, it looks like AI.
Whoa.
It's beautiful.
Okay. Well, good. Good to know. Number 4 is, what is your favorite form of self-care?
A massage. I love a massage or a facial. Anything with spa music and somebody like massaging any part of my body. That sounds weird.
I know. I was literally, when you started saying that, I was like, if there's calming music and someone's touching me, and I was like, that's probably not the correct way to say it, but we don't need to go there. You get what I'm saying. I'm truly the exact same way. The girl that I get facials from, she like does the best like head massage, and like I just hold all of my tension in like my neck and I get really bad headaches, and she just like, she knows what she's doing, and it's the best.
Have you had a face massage?
No.
Okay, you have to do that. She like, I go to this girl in Newport, and she like puts her fingers inside and massages my cheeks, and I walk out, and it's incredible. Or lymphatic facial. Have you done that?
Yeah.
Anything like hard pressing my face feels good.
Yeah,
because people don't usually touch my face.
I love it. I love a good touch.
Right.
Number 5 is, what is the most misunderstood thing about you?
Probably that like I can't feel my emotions regarding my husband's career. I feel like a lot of people think that, whenever I've shared like him being released or him being cut, people are like, oh, I can't feel bad for you. Like, you're rich. I'm like, wait, hold on. Like, yeah. So I feel like that's something that has always bothered me. And so maybe that's why I'm like, this is a therapy session. Maybe that's why I've been closed off with friends, because I know that like me complaining about my feelings, like people are going through so much worse stuff. But yeah, I think I'm allowed to feel how I feel. It is crazy because I have some friends still in the NFL, like their husbands are, they're not in the NFL. Their husbands are in the NFL.
Yeah.
And one girl in particular, I can call her about anything, and I feel like I can actually vent about like whatever my husband's going through at the time, because she gets it. Like she's been there. Now I might not call my friend up who has been in the same city for 8 years because she probably doesn't get it that much, but I can still vent to them. So yeah, having friends that can like be that place that you can vent about anything and they might not relate to it are the best kind of friends.
Yeah, it's so important. Number 6 is who has had the most positive impact on your mental health?
My husband for sure. Yeah. Or my daughter.
I love that.
She makes me happy.
Oh. Okay. Number 7 is if you can go back to one moment in your life, what moment would that be? And what would you say to yourself?
Oh my gosh. Probably the first few weeks postpartum. I think I just would give myself a hug. I don't know that I would have any secrets to give her, but I think just like feeling supported in those first few weeks postpartum, I didn't really feel like I didn't have a huge village. So I wish I could go back and like give myself a hug and tell her everything's gonna be okay. Because now it's so great.
Yeah, I know. Well, thanks for hanging out with me today.
Yeah.
This is so fun. I feel like these girl conversations are just like, are so important because, you know, we can, even if we're talking about the NFL, like there's still like so much that is like relatable to it and what you're going through. So thanks for coming and hanging.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. We'll leave your podcast below. Go listen to her podcast, everyone. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, everyone.